Hello, Coco. Yay, Coco and I are back and we have guests today. I'll let you get started. Like, who do you want to introduce, Coco?
I guess it's appropriate for me to introduce my partner in crime, Pepe. Hello, Pepe.
Everyone. Hello, Gabriel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And of course, I have my partner, in crime, the other partner in crime. We have Aaron. Hi, Daddy.
Hello.
Wow. So yeah, so this is our fourth episode, and thank you so much for joining us. Um, this is the original collaborators in life, right, Coco? So without these two gentlemen, I don't think that we'd be good at collaborating with other people because they're the ones that'll tell us, like, check us and tell us what's good, tell us what's not, tell us what works, So thank you, boys, for being here. So I
Without
think,
them,
To be
we
here.
might not be alive, we might not be happy, and we probably wouldn't even be able to do this.
absolutely, and we wouldn't be this good.
Mm-mm, no way.
Yeah, one of the things that, like, Aaron, a friendly reminder every time, like, there's like new exciting adventures in the works for Gayru, like, we have it's a constant reminder, like, I didn't do this all on my own, even though I tell everybody in the world I do this on my own, but like without the Aaron that's like making sure that all the systems are a go, it doesn't work quite as well. So, I'm sure the
Oh
same
yeah,
works with you and Pepe,
I
you
wouldn't
know.
even be able to. I would not even know how to use my technology without
Yeah,
Pepe.
yeah.
Truly, or like he's literally getting paid to be like my tech man and admin guy. Like I can't do the creative work and the fun stuff if somebody isn't helping me with the back end.
Yeah,
Truly.
totally.
So
Totally. Yeah,
Gotta have a logistics guy.
there we go. So speaking of
Nobody takes
logistics,
care of their back end like Pepe.
whoa. We don't usually talk about backhands until we're like 30 minutes in.
we like to give people a warning that it's gonna get spicy and they might,
Jumping the gun. Jumping the
viewer
gun,
discretion
Aaron.
is advised, but that's a good time to let y'all know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
talk
truth
about stuff like that.
yeah, but truth be told, not everybody on this screen is like a big backend pro. We're backend explorers. How's that?
I like that term.
Yeah. So let's give Pepe the microphone. Pepe, do you mind just sharing a little bit, like, tell us about what you're doing today and what you're all about, what's your thing, and I'm gonna get into the juicy stuff and say I want to hear your version of how you met Coco. And go.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I'm doing today, I'm not going to spend much time on because it is not juicy and it's very frustrating. Um, just trying to create businesses, trying to figure out how to make money here in the rainforest. And yeah, it's a very rocky road. So, um, I'll cut to the juicy part. I mean, we are living in the jungle. That's kind of exciting. It's wet, warm, and tropical all the time. Um, Partner Coco and I kind of made this leap to move down here just somewhat on a whim, but it was always like a lifelong dream of ours. And we kind of moved down here thinking everything was going to be hunky dory. And we have learned the hard way that it is not. It's really fucking hard work. So we're kind of just like in the middle of really figuring that shit out and figuring out how we're going to make it work, if we're going to make it work, and like how to do that. Um, and that, yeah, that has involved a lot of stuff like renegotiating agreements, yoga, meditation, plant medicines, being fluid and flexible physically, emotionally, mentally has been a requirement. So thankfully, Coco is pretty close to a yoga master for me. So he, by extension, I've kind of fallen into, somewhat of a yoga practice, and um, that has evolved into, some more interesting things like sex kung fu and more like muscle activation, body somatic type things, more than just, stretching and flexibility. Um, Truth be told, I'm not like super like a big yoga guy on my own, but because of him, I've kind of been drug into it, for lack of a better term. Um, so yeah, we're just figuring shit out.
And how did you meet? Tell me how you met, and like what was it for you that said, "Oh my God, I want more."
Well, we met the old-fashioned way via Tinder. Um, I Yeah, I had just recently kind of decided we have a very similar past, he and I, of being, trying to make things work with girls and being, this tormented, closeted soul. Um, I had just come out of a weird relationship with a girl, and it was actually like the first adult relationship I actually made work with a girl. And it further confused me because I was like, wait a minute, am I not that gay? What's going on? And then so that went like down the tubes, and I was like, okay, I'm super gay. I would I would love to like make it work with a guy. So let's, flip the switch on Tinder and start seeing what kind of guys I can match with locally, even though I was fucking terrified to like think about like meeting up with a guy, and like none of my friends know that I'm queer. Like, how am I going to go about doing this? It's very much a secret. And so, anyway, I just sort of silently started, entertaining the idea. Um, and I was visiting like my most friends were gay and like queer and like somewhere on that spectrum, and I just like could not get over myself to just like accept that I want to explore this for myself and that I feel queer, and like I would have this big community to be in. And so I was very like self-deprecating and annoyed at myself that I wasn't just going for it. Um, and so I was visiting my best friend, matched with him on Tinder, and like something felt different with him. It wasn't like this like obvious like it felt very different. Like I felt very comfortable, and like I kind of knew this person almost like a very like kinship friend kind of way, like somebody I really felt, a soulful thing with. But it was of course very scary. And so I just like, I swiped right and connected right away. He sent me his number right away, apparently deleted the app right away after he sent me his number because he had his own thing going on, which I'm sure he's told you about. Um, and so I had to leave the next morning. Like I couldn't meet up, I couldn't do anything. So I had to leave for a wedding the next morning. And we just stayed in contact and we talked for like almost a month. And so that was kind of like the old fashioned way of,
Mhm.
we never sent nudes. We had no idea what we looked like below the belt. It was just like, who are you? What is your mind like? What is your life like? Your family, like all this kind of stuff. And we got to know each other for a month. And then after a month, we were like, we have to meet, and he was the one that actually initiated that, and just busted into my hometown for a concert that he invited me to slash forced me to go to. um, and that was like I had to make that decision. Like he's like, I got these tickets, I want you to come with me. And I was like, holy shit, this is the moment, like that
Yeah.
I've been terrified for years about. But I just like slapped myself out of it. I was like, go for it, like there's no way you're not doing this. And so it ended up being like the best day of my entire life, like being out with this person in my hometown at this beautiful concert venue, all my best friends around, they were all excited. Like it was like almost same kind of level as like what our wedding day ended up being like. Um, and so yeah, the rest was history. We just sort of like intertwined this crazy soulful soulmate relationship that we've been unfolding ever since.
Nice. It's beautiful to watch you two. Seriously, it's like this beautiful chemistry. It's almost this like gay love story out in the forest. I was just telling Aaron yesterday, it's like, I don't understand why these two dudes aren't on a reality show yet. It is just so like, you can't make that
We've
stuff up, man.
tried.
Even with, oh my God, with the goats.
Listen, we tried. It's like a very sensitive topic, but we tried. We made like 3 or 4 seasons of a really amazing, epic blog. It was so good, and it was a flop. Nobody cared. So we are done
Yeah.
with that. And so we have like a film crew and somebody that's like
Yeah.
we're gonna make this for you. Like we can't do that anymore. But if you want to see, go back and watch those old YouTube vlogs and give us some likes and comments, like, okay, they're
Right.
there.
Um, maybe they're meant to be re-edited as short reels now and just send them as episodes on Instagram, you know, like there's could always use content that like we produced 3, 4 years ago and make it super relevant again, you know?
It's true.
Yeah. So I have a question real quick, Pep, because you said about like what is it like old school, you met at Tinder, and my mind went like you mean you didn't meet in Grinder, you didn't meet at a bar, you didn't meet. I don't, y'all are too young for this, but back in the day, people met by the newspaper. They would put an ad saying single white female, blah, blah, blah. Like, I swear to God, they would have like romance or whatever. And then, and that's one way of doing it. And then the other way of doing it is actually like meeting up at bars or clubs or church, And so when you say Tinder, I'm like, oh my God, I'm old.
Church.
Yeah, I said,
Church, yeah.
yeah, right. Youth group.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
we, yeah, old school. I mean, we used a new school method, like an app, right? But then, like, what transpired was kind of like a very old school way of getting to know each other. And yeah, it wasn't like, let's hook up and have sex and then like see what happens. It was very innocent, like, um, old school traditional, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And then all tradition has gone out the window since then.
You
But it was
are
a,
out.
but
You're
for
like,
us, it was a great
yeah.
way to get started.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been there, done that.
right. I mean, it was refreshing because it was right in the heat of like Snapchat age and Grinder and like just nudes flying all over the place, and you can just be horny and sending naked pictures to endless people all day long. And that's fun in its own way, but it's not very, it loses its luster, and you can do that with anyone. And so it was even more exciting to not know what he looked like below the belt, or
Yeah. Yeah.
to know that he didn't know what I looked like, but beneath the belt. And so it was yeah, it felt very exciting in a way that probably our grandparents felt
Yeah.
when they were getting to know their lovers and meeting and figuring out their sex lives and stuff.
Oh, that's very sweet. I love that. So speaking of meeting at church, Aaron, do you want to share your story? We didn't meet in church, but we grew up in one.
Well, well, our story is more like we met the old school way with a new school way attitude. I met William 22 years ago. A friend in common who was my gym partner, for lack of a better term. And he called me one day and said, I'm going to go pick up drugs, essentially. He wanted to buy a large amount of crystal meth. And I'm 20 something in the story. And he's like, can you drive me? And I'm like, sure, because that's what you do. And so I picked him up. We drove to William's house because William was the connection to the drug dealer. And uh, William and our friend in common had worked together previously, and so they knew each other kind of casually. Actually, we were supposed to meet 6 months before, but William canceled at the last minute. We were going to meet in the Castro. And so 6 months later, when he asked me, hey, can you drive me? And then he told me, oh, we're going to go pick up my friend William. I kind of had a frame of reference for who he was. And so we go to his house. I pick him up. He jumps into the front seat, and our friend in common gets into the back seat because our friend in common was big steroid queen. Like, she was jacked. And I liked working out with him because he was stronger than me. And so when we would lift, I felt like I was getting a lot out of it. And, and then afterwards we would fool around. And so very casual between me and him. William jumps into the front seat of the car, and like there was absolutely zero doubt that William was interested right away. the first question, he turned to our friend and commented in the back seat and said, "So what's going on with you two? Are you fucking?" And and I was like, "Who is this guy?" And so, you know, our friend in the back seat is like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, he's just telling all my business. Like, it's like a grinder conversation, but in person. How big is your dick? Are you uncut or cut? Like, it's like he goes really deep into my business, and we have like this evening of fear and loathing in San Francisco. Like, we do the drug deal, we went to a club, a lot of drugs, a lot of debauchery. I say that I'm gonna go home, and Wig says, "You can't leave." And I'm like, "No, we're gonna go." He's like, "No, you go back to, we're gonna meet you, go back to my house, here's my house key." So I'm like, okay. So we go back to the house first, we let ourselves in, and in this one evening, I don't just meet William, I also meet a bunch of people that become our friends moving forward. And so, like, we're at the house. I met William with his partner of 15 years, who joined us at some point in the evening, and other friends were there. Like, we're all hanging out. So at like 4:30 in the morning, I go to check my email, because that's what you do. And I walk into the back bedroom to use the computer, and William follows me into the room, and I'm sitting at the desk. He walks over and he leans in and he says, "I just want to tell you, I think you're really hot." And he goes to kiss me. And so, like, I turn my head and he kisses me on the cheek, because I'm like, why is this little guy like trying to kiss me with his boyfriends in the other room? And like, I thought, oh, he's trashy. And so he's trashy. But very funny. Like, the chemistry was immediate between us. And I go home. So in that evening, we have made plans. We're having such a great time, all of us, that we make plans to go to the opening of a club in San Francisco, the Up and Down Club, 2 weeks later. So in those 2 weeks, William and his partner broke up, which had nothing to do with me. And then 2 hours before we were supposed to go to the opening of the club, our friend in common canceled on us. And so, like, I called William to say, "I'm already in your town. Me and you can go if you want." So, not intending it to be our first date, but it was just, I was there, you were there, let's go. And then we've been together ever since.
And we just celebrated our 22nd anniversary. Yay.
Yeah, on Saturday, actually, 2 days ago.
Mhm.
Congratulations, you guys.
No, thank you.
It was a beautiful story. Beautifully delivered as well. And I did have a question. I think you answered it. Like, how do you last minute cancel 22 years ago? Was it through email?
The phone, you bastard. There was
22 years.
we
That
didn't
is
have smartphones. It was like, I
We
had like
wrote letters.
a Razor, a flip phone.
I didn't know what texting was 22 years ago. I didn't. I'm from a small town. I was only like 11 years old or something, so I didn't know.
Yeah. We faxed each other. Amazing. So I actually did like a quick fact check, and I didn't ask if they were fucking. I asked if they were dating, because I wanted to make sure they weren't boyfriends. And I also checked my records, and I didn't ask to see the D. So I was being a gentleman. It's
Very
so funny.
important. Good.
Yeah, to contrast, like, what Pepe's story is like, yeah, we didn't care. Like, we haven't seen each other. We haven't gotten naked. And I'm like, oh, girl, that's got to be like on top of my list. Yeah, I got to see and taste the candy before I buy it. But it turned out really nicely for you guys. Oh my God.
Oh, it
So,
did.
yeah, we lost Aaron, but we'll just continue on. So Pepe, what are you working on now? Anything fun and exciting? Because I know that you tried a little bit of solar not too long ago, and like you're gonna lead into
Yeah,
are we still doing your nutrition?
that's always kind of in the background for
Yeah.
me. I see
Yeah.
clients here and there for,
Okay.
nutritional coaching. Just for a little background on that, I am an integrative nutrition health coach, certified with the IIN. And yeah, that I, I don't know. I just have always kept that in the background. It was never something that I wanted to make like my full-time thing, like working with people in that way necessarily. Um, and yeah, since moving here, there's been a lot of like shifts in terms of like, yeah, how to make this work and how are we going to make money. And um, we've been trying different things. So yeah, I recently tried selling solar, which was not exactly easy to sell solar from the middle of the rainforest to people in the United States, as an independent contractor type gig. So I've moved away from that, and I'm currently actually in a school to be a travel agent. So pretty soon here, I will be um, in a host agency's network. They're called Avoya Travel Network, and I will be an independent travel agent, and I can hook people up with travel all over the world. So and I'll be able to like specialize in Costa Rica travel and maybe do some like wellness travel specializations and
Hmm.
LGBT travel specializations. And there's just like a lot of avenues to make it work for me, and actually coincides with my
Yeah.
life as an expat in Costa Rica. So
Yeah.
And he can
I'm
help
not.
me put together yoga retreat packages.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, are you ready to go and say take clients starting today, or what's what
Starting probably next month. Yeah.
next
I'm
month? Okay.
finishing up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I
finishing
mean,
up the training. So, and
yeah.
I'm fully set up with the business. I'm fully set up with the network. So now it's just like, how do I use the platform of the network to do the work? And then I'll be accepting leads within a matter of a few weeks. So
Yeah, please stay in touch with Coco and myself, because rumor has it that we're pretty popular and we have a wide audience and a big reach.
I've heard that.
I
I would love
man,
to.
it's so funny. It's like, you think that I'm pretty familiar with all of your platforms. The Telegram, I check in once in a while, and I'm amazed about how many people, how many members, and how much engagement's on there. I mean, that's a pretty big deal for you to tap into, right? As far as travel, because gay men want to find retreats. Where's the next thing? Where's the party? So on and so forth. But make sure you stay connected with us, because we can put your stuff out there.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
It's a much easier sell to, you don't really have to sell travel. People want to travel, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a good
as
time for
compared
it.
to exactly. Exactly.
Aaron, you're back.
I am back.
So I just got done asking Pepe what you're working on now. Do you mind sharing a little bit about like where you're at in this moment with what you're doing with your yoga?
What am I doing with my yoga? So I own a yoga studio, obviously, and I am program developer for Intara Care Institute. It's a nonprofit that brings mental health services to yoga spaces and deals with yoga therapists. And I've been working to launch mental health clinics and a program that will be live in yoga studios and explore the different layers of self and how yoga applies to the other layers beyond the physical. And so that's launching May 18th. And the amount of work that's gone into that is years. And so it's finally here in this moment. Very exciting, I'm working as a yoga therapist. I'm one of the main yoga therapists at our yoga studio that represent Antara. And yeah, my health has been in question for a while. And so I've been a little bit in and out of teaching like group fitness, and that's been a little wishy-washy, but yeah, I'm currently writing our 300-hour program for advanced asana, and I just booked my first therapeutic yoga workshop series, which is on building emotional intelligence using therapeutic yoga practices. That I'm hoping to bring online. I'm going through the curriculum for the first time. I'm probably going to do it a second time in the fall, and then I'll make it available online. And then what else? Just I'm mentoring, leading teacher trainings, going, we're knee deep in yoga between the two of us. William does, a lot of our online presence, our social media. I have zero interest in any of that. If it wasn't for William and collaboration, I probably wouldn't have half as much content on my page as I do. I like to be magical in the room. And so I concentrate on, my in-person offerings, group experiences, yoga therapy, this type of work. I really enjoy creating experiences for people and leading them, through a journey. And so, it's a lot of fantastic work is being produced at this moment in time.
Are you setting the energy out in the universe that you want to work with men's groups as well?
Yeah, I mean, originally, the reason we started the Facebook page, it ended up becoming Men of Yoga, but I originally started it in the pandemic. William went off and did of Men of Yoga and our OnlyFans page on Instagram and OnlyFans. I went to Facebook because originally I was studying yoga therapy, and I knew I wanted to work with gay men particularly. And so I started a gay men's yoga group that, everything took off online during the pandemic. And so it took off, a few thousand people started to follow it. And eventually we started to say to ourselves, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to have your hand in 12 different things. And then whatever direction things start to lean, you start to send more energy and more time into that direction. And so as the Instagram page for a Men of Yoga started to take off, we started to kind of lean everything in the Men of Yoga direction. And once we changed the gay men's yoga group on Facebook to just Men of Yoga, then it went, tens of thousands of people are on there. And so like the intention was I was going to do yoga therapy specifically with gay men, and I wanted to gather them in an arena. But over the course of the last few years, it's just really, instead of further categorizing, just saying men's work, brotherhood. Me and William have owned a yoga studio for a really long time. And men in particular are very attracted to our energy, and gay, straight, that doesn't matter. It's men are not used to love and affection from other men. And William and I have a very open door policy on the way we share love with people, and people seem to be, especially men, seem to be attracted to that energy. And so
we have a lot of
we have a lot of bros that call us bro.
Well, it's funny. It's like in real life, in real time, I call Aaron daddy, but online, I'm called daddy. Coco knows this. Like, daddy. Like, I know. I am the Mac daddy on the Men of Yoga. One, because I'm older, and secondly, it's because I'm collaborating with these people and whatnot, and I have a little bit more skin in the game and been in the game longer. So, people trust like my journey as part of their a little bit of inspo here and there, things to do, things not to do, things to stay away from. I find funny when you were talking about like the change of marketing from gay men's yoga group to Men of Yoga group. we went from like 1,000 followers to like 7,000 in like 3 months, and then became like it's up to 12,000 now. But the funny part about this, I was paying attention. The only thing, two things I changed. One was the name. It went from Gay Men's Yoga to just Men of Yoga, and then I changed the picture. You boys are in this picture. I don't know if you remember. I think it was we were celebrating Yoga Belly's anniversary, and I asked y'all to send us like a nude covering your areas, and we created a collage. The moment that collage splashed the page, it's like, you know. But the ironic part about it is that a lot of them were gay men anyway. It's like you didn't have to say gay. You just have to show hot guys, and they're all over it. You know what I
I
mean?
feel like something just came to mind that is interesting about that, because this is something that all of us are thinking about a lot, and we've been talking about it since the very beginning. It's going to come up a lot, but it's like very philosophical, you know, like what is being gay? And I think there's a lot of gay men out there that avoid gay groups because they don't want to be in a gay group. They want to be in a group that's more of just men being brotherly and friendly to each other. You know, like a lot of us gay guys have been hurt and wounded from you know, outside of the community, from, and then you get into the community, you're like so excited to be gay, and then you jump into gay world, and then you get hurt from the inside. You get hurt from inside your own community by your own people. And so then, or you know, at the very least, like annoyed or disturbed, or just like, oh my god, like the gays are trying to kill me, and just like looking for like some good wholesome brotherly men. They're going to treat you like a human and treat you like a bro, instead of like just trying to use you or
Yeah.
judge you, size you up, you know. So I think that makes a lot of sense, actually, that it's just, it's like it looks erotic and it looks like a safe place for it to be gay, but it's not about being gay. It's not
Right.
about
Right.
doing all the right gay stuff and being cool and hip in the same way, at the cutthroat way that gay culture can be.
Yeah, totally. You know, we're gonna, as we progress and keep growing this, whatever it is that we're gonna call this video chat, I've got several people already lined up, and a couple of them don't identify as gay, you know, but then it's not a thing for straight men anymore, at least not for the people that I'm coming in contact with. You know, as a matter of fact, I found myself asking for permission. I shot this video with a fellow teacher, and I said, "Hey, by the way, I'm going to be using this clip." And he said, "Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, tag me." And I'm like, "Whoa, I was gonna put a caption on there saying, for those of you who want to see my privates, you know, it's a private session." I see y'all get it, right? So it's a clickbait, it's whatever. And he started laughing. He was like, "Of course, man. I think it's funny." And I thought, okay, well, a couple of things. I'm like, first, why do I feel the need to, you know, I asked for permission because I wanted him to know that that I was going to publish it, because we shot it, and I wanted him to know that it was going to be for public consumption. And secondly, I wanted to make sure he got the joke, you know, and he was just totally down with it. And as a matter of fact, he's like, "Yeah, let me get on your show." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll make sure I book you," you know. And I'm curious to see what a straight perspective is like, being in the space of also in the brotherhood space, because he's masculine presenting, you know. Well, when I say that, I now that I look at you and Pepe, you know, like breaking that stereotype of like, what do you got to do to look gay, act gay, you know? And when you're straight and you're attractive, it's like, how does it feel for you when people, when guys also find you attractive? And I'm finding a lot of them like, bring it on, you know. I'm hot regardless who's looking at me or not. Like I know what I'm dealing with, you
I
know.
think it's interesting, you know, for him in particular, this influencer that he came and he spent a couple days with us because we were hosting him, and for a hand balancing series of stuff, and you know, he came in, and you know, we're a gay couple, and he's staying in our house, and you know, you don't quite know how that experience is going to be or who you're bringing into your house. And you know, so we had just made the intention to, you know, whoever comes into our circle, we just love on them, you know, in a way that nurtures. And you know, so I basically spent 2 days just being of service. Like I've brought you here, we're sharing time and energy. I'm not going to treat you any different than I would treat anybody else. And 2 days of cooking, nurturing, sitting, talking, sharing space, being a therapeutic presence, letting him be seen. And 2 days in, we just met this person, and as I said, went to say goodbye to him because I had to go teach a yoga class. We hugged, and he told me he loved me, and very, very sweet. It's labels are how we choose to define ourselves. Doesn't need to come with hard lines. It can be just a soft line that gives people an expectation of what is the intention, but being open to receive love and give love across the board is really where the magic happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what else Coco, what else you got going up? Your turn. What's new and exciting in your world?
Well, I already talked about some of the things, but in the last episode, so I won't repeat myself. But another cool thing that's happening is not only am I very in the world of yoga and men's work, but a big part of that, like something that has really come up that supports it all and makes it all make more sense, just out of the human experience, is human design, which some people may know a little bit about that, and some people may know a lot about it, some people not at all. It's kind of new. A mysterious voice burst forth from the universe and transmitted a message to a man in Spain in the 80s, to combine 4 ancient tools that already existed, with some science that was yet to be discovered that is still being discovered. So it's this very like scientific yet mystical system that combines astrology, the ancient I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, and the chakras, and it kind of overlays all those layers, and it shows you your energetic blueprints and like how the universe designed you to operate. So I like it as like a very type A, like systematic kind of person who is at the same time like very mystical and out there, because it's not just like completely symbolic and ambiguous like sometimes astrology can seem. And also like, talking about the chakras can also sometimes just be like, what? Like, or it's very subjective. It's like, I think my heart chakra is closed, and then someone else will tell you like, no, your heart chakra is so open. And it's just can be very confusing, but human design like really gives you some answers as to like how you're designed to work, and helps you to separate like what is conditioning versus what is really me, and how do I form a perfect decision making strategy for myself. And so, a lot of times as an early coach, I found it really hard to be able to really look at a person and know how to guide them. Because it's like, am I just conditioning you, or am I just guiding you from what works for me? It takes a long time to get to know someone. But with human design, I start coaching someone and I've already got their energetic blueprints laid out in front of me. And it makes it a lot easier for me to hold back like my personal opinions and like, what do I think and what is my personal experience, and really give them some, help to guide them into their own truth and who they really are. So I've become a big, huge human design nerd, and I'm terrible at building a website, but so I've been building my website for like months. It's been really hard, but I finally started, like I'm almost there. I'm like ready to launch my new website so I can actually really explain to people what human design is. It's hard to do in social media posts. It's so complex, like I just gave you a little spiel, but like how can you put all of that in a caption of an Instagram post that people will actually read?
Yeah.
Or how can you say all of that in a short video? I struggle with that, but I've got my website coming together, and so I'm going to be able to launch my new the new version of my coaching programs on my new very cool website. And my website also allows you to go in there and not only like, learn about what human design is, but put in your birth information and get your chart immediately for free. So you can,
Wow.
decide to do the research on your own and start learning about human design based on your chart. You can start there. or if you get lost in the details or need a guide, then I've got different options for, easing into working, or like, oh my God, let's do it. Let's work together. So that's the most exciting thing for me. And now that the website is functional, I can like get more into the fun and creative part that I actually love, which is like, writing blog posts and figuring out how to make social media posts about it and actually working with people.
Yeah. Congrats. Can't wait to see.
Thank you.
Are you going to
Yeah,
announce the name anytime soon, at least, or?
oh yeah, I can tell you now. The
Oh,
website is, you can already visit it. It's live. It's just not like complete. You'll notice some things that
yeah.
don't work perfectly yet, but it's called upgradeyourvessel.com. Because the whole idea and everything that I do, whether it's coaching or whether it's yoga or whether it's human design or even stuff that Pepe does like nutrition, it's all about upgrading your vessel
Nice. Well
and
done.
learning
That's
to
good.
optimize your experience
Yeah.
in your body as a human being.
Yeah. I love names where it's like, tell me what you do without having to tell me what you do. You know what I mean? It's like for the last couple of weeks too, it's like coming up with the name that basically sums up your 7 years of hard work. You know what I mean? It's a trip when you kind of put things like, especially as an entrepreneur, because you need something obviously that works, that calls to people, that you've studied, you've mastered, you've got all the content, so on and so forth. But until you slap a name on there, to people just say, oh fuck yeah, you know, that's it. That just makes sense. And then you have more questions around it and more inquiry and curiosity, right? You know, the last couple of weeks, you know, you and I, Coco, are on the side saying, what are we going to call this thing? Because it's obviously turning into a thing, and it's nicer to just tell people, hey, join us for this YouTube show called such and such, and they know exactly what it is. So I don't know. Do I make that announcement now? What's going to be called? I think we'll wait till next episode.
Come back next time to learn
Come
more
back
about
next
where we're
time.
headed.
Absolutely. And I also and I so want to like tell the world too, like these are the people coming up, but like I'm not going to tell them until they actually record, so I can announce it the day of. You know what I mean?
That's smart. That's very smart. You never know
'Cause,
what's going to happen down to the last minute.
especially us yogis. Oh my God, I have to sub. You know, um, what is this thing that I did want to I want to share with y'all? So the Men of Yoga space, real quick. So I want to also start adding like practices on the YouTube channel. So for those of y'all out there who are interested in joining the Men of Yoga YouTube space, it would be great to showcase some of your tutorials, you know, anything like 15-20 minute sequences. Like let's grow this thing and like put, you know, Men of Yoga on the map. You know, I think more men practicing yoga is going to bring a little more kinder, softer, gentler, calmer universe, you know. Yeah, so that's kind of like that's what I'm working on. Um obviously I can't wait to host you over here. I'd love to hear your thoughts at some point, Coco, of what you think you want to present, maybe a couple of hours here and there. You know, we'll facilitate that at the studio or here at the villa itself, you know. And Pepe, I'm so disappointed that you're not coming to stay, but we'll see you for a day, right?
Yeah. Yep. You'll see me for a day, and we'll be back. There's just a lot going on, and
Oh
somebody's
yeah.
got to get back to the farm. And yeah, I'm glad that Coco will have his opportunity to sort of have his own adventure. We both, one thing about, living and moving to the middle of nowhere in the rainforest is that we are together all the time.
Yes.
So we have, started to move into the space of, yeah, like recognizing the need to have alone time and like remember our individualities. And so, when we go for experiences like this, we have to take advantage of opportunities to remind ourselves that we're individuals. So this is kind of one of those times.
Yeah.
What
But
is what is this alone time that you speak of? I don't understand what that term means. I too am in a relationship where I am with my partner. We go to work together, we sleep together, we hang out together.
yeah, well, I bet you, even despite that, you have a much easier ability to go to leave the house on your own without your partner, or maybe there's two vehicles involved or methods of transportation that doesn't involve you needing to do every single thing at the same time
You
living in a
mean
city.
my husband who won't drive himself anywhere and needs to be driven? Yeah, we do.
Well, it sounds like we need to have another conversation.
Yeah. I think this would actually be a great topic of conversation, like the importance of alone time, because I'm reading a book right now, which is another exciting thing I'm doing, like on a more personal, non-entrepreneurial level. It's called The Artist's Way, and it's just like a lot of people have read it and worked through it. It's emphasizing the importance of being alone. Like you just need to be alone sometimes so that like you can be in your own space and like not catering to anybody or like changing your vibe or like just allowing a new and different way of being. But yeah, like as couples, you can get so enmeshed that you actually really do forget like what it even felt like to be on your own. And it's not, sometimes being alone is sad, but even that can be good. And sometimes
Well,
being
I
alone is
mean,
not sad, sometimes it's awesome.
absence makes the heart grow fonder. You
And
know,
that too.
that's true. You know, it's especially if we're on an alternative path. I would say all of us are on an alternative path. Most people go to work and they have limited time together because they're, live kids, whatever, it is that you set up your life as, dedicating your life to your career. We have foregone, financial security to have time together. We're not dreaming of a retirement where we get to share our time and energy. We've decided to have that moment now. And that comes with a little bit of sacrifice. And, that sacrifice is not for everyone. Not everybody is going to be able to make uh, time together productive and happy. Luckily, William and I are um, famously agreeable for the most part. We laugh, and the times that when we share our energy with other people, it's a very polished show, because we've spent time with each other laughing and enjoying our time together, and we have things that we share with people that come out of the comedy that we share with each other. It's but that's not most people's experience.
Yeah. I think for me also, because I grew up in a big family, I had like, there's 5 of us who grew up together in the Philippines, and we were always surrounded by housekeepers and cooks. And uh, real quick, in the Philippines, you either have money or you don't have money, and we were fortunate to have money, and so we had helpers, maids, people who helped my parents raise the kids. And so when we moved to the US, we had to like basically take care of all those house chores and cooking, all that stuff. But there was always like a big, large family unit. And so for me, I wanted independence the moment I could. So by the time I turned 18, I'm like, this is too much for me. Lo and behold, as soon as I moved out, had my own place, I gave all my friends a key to the apartment because I wanted them to just be with me at whenever they were free. They were free to hang out at the house. So I've always had like a household of people, especially on weekends. Sometimes people would come in Friday and won't leave, go until Sunday, but it's always been like that. And so I think when I met Aaron, it was like he was awesome enough to let me be needy in a sense. Like I need to be with you, but it's not so much like I can't do without, because I'd realize also when I can't do without, I'm not productive. You know what I mean? Like I'd be totally fine just watching TV, just knowing that Aaron's next to me, or going to the store, doing like just simple mundane things, but just knowing that we're together was enough. But you know, I don't get productive. I don't get creative. It's almost like you surrender this idea of like spending time with the person that you're really into and thinking that it's going to be your last day on earth. It's not super dramatic, like, oh, we got to take advantage of today because tomorrow's not promised, to a point where it's like, this is not necessary. It's like, I'll see you in 2 hours, bitch. I
Yeah,
think my most recent text, I think, to Aaron is like, what time are you coming home?
yeah, going to the store is a real pleasure with William. I have to turn to him and say, "Are you going to put anything in the cart?" He just follows me around, talks, and I'm like, are you planning on cooking anything? Are you gonna make us anything? Or he's just in a constant state of conversation with me, and he's basically just following me around wherever I go while I'm doing the work. And so it's an interesting
And
Yeah,
dynamic.
it sounds like, our dynamics are extremely similar. I mean, we're probably all our best selves with our partners, and that makes for a really beautiful and long lasting relationship. But it's like, it's just like a little Coco and I right now, it's like we are 100% of the time together, and and we thrive like that, but it is off balance because there's no, I mean, our house, like, if you pan up, the walls don't even go to the ceiling. Like, there's no ceiling. We hardly have doors, so you can't go into a room to have your own moment or fart or cry or be mad or whatever without the other person knowing. So there's if we, getting that to like 95% together time, 5% alone time, 95 to 90%, like, I think we'll go a long way. And so we have to, think of creative ways for the moment, and,
The
to
fart
kind of
and cry.
fart and cry and get angry if we want to, do that alone for a change.
there has never been hiding of farts.
No, no, there's never hiding a
I
fart.
love this. So
But even if you wanted to, you couldn't.
when was when did it come to your relationship where that was gonna have to happen eventually? Was it like in the dating phase, move-in phase? Like who kicked it off?
Uh,
Well, my farts are almost always silent. I'm not saying that they're pleasant, but they are always silent. Pepe, on the other hand, sounds like a literal cartoon, like whoopee cushion farter. Um, so I'm pretty sure that like that happened like the first or
oh yeah.
second time we were hanging out together.
I mean,
I think we've never talked about this memory because it's so hazy and cartoonish because we were blazed. But I feel like it was a post-sex standing naked in the front yard peeing together moment when you first let one of those cartoon whoopee cushion farts out.
Yes, it's what
yeah,
happens.
Hi, naked in the front yard, a pee fart. You know, when you're peeing and it pushes a fart out.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my
it's one
God,
of those.
that's amazing. I have
That's
I,
how
we
I
never.
fast we bonded.
Well,
well,
I have a great story about William farting. Maybe our
Let it rip,
second,
Aaron.
maybe our second or third date, we went to Berkeley, downtown Berkeley, to go like hang out on Telegraph, which is a thing, and in Berkeley, which is right next to San Francisco. We we get there, we find parking, like it's a good 30 minutes away from where we live. Like we drove all the way there. When we get there, I find parking, and as soon as we get there, William says, "Well, I need to go home and change.
well, no, no, no.
Change my clothes." Hold on,
we
it's my story.
we were gonna go to the club.
I need to go home and change.
There we go.
And I'm like, "We just got here. Can't we do blah blah blah?" No, no, no. And he was really insistent. I didn't understand. Like now I know who William is, and like when he has to change, he has to take a shit. And so like, but I didn't know that at the time. And so like, I'm a little irritated, but like, I'm not trying to hold anybody hostage. So we jump back in the car, we drive back to his house, we go into the house, and I'm in the living room waiting for him. He goes into the bathroom because the bathroom's like in the center of his house, and just lit the bathroom up like it was loud. I was there. Like he took, yeah. And all of a sudden, everything like clarity came around. So when he came out of the bathroom, I was like, "Bro, are you okay?" And he was mortified, like just embarrassed. And so ever since then, we now respect when somebody says, I need to go change my clothes.
It
That
is
was
true.
like the
Yeah.
second week we were hanging out, maybe.
Yeah. Coco, we really need to discuss our guest choices. I
For
mean,
sure. We need to be more careful next time. This
we
is a
don't talk
bad idea.
about farting and taking dumps. Like, Jesus Christ.
Ew.
There goes our 8 followers. Thanks, guys.
Hey, some people are into
Thanks.
that.
Right, we're gonna change our
True.
demographic overnight. Now,
It's okay.
welcome
You know,
to
the
our.
good thing about crashing down at this point is it's not, you know, it's not a big fall. We'll
Yeah.
rebuild.
Oh my God, that's fucking funny. That's funny. Yeah, the only thing that I was telling Aaron is like, here's the rule. Here's the line. No farting in the kitchen. Just not in the kitchen, right? And so I think it's my
Reasonable.
turn. Yeah, it's my turn to share with you guys Aaron's incident. He goes to our yoga studio and we had just eaten. He's like, fuck. And so he's in the kitchen. We have a little kitchenette. He decides, I'm going to clean up in the kitchen. And he lays a fart in the kitchen. And then a student walks in. Student walks in. He's like, oh, fuck, here we go. And so the moral of the story, he tells me, and I'm like, I told you, don't fart in the kitchen.
Well, the kitchen look is where all the props are, and so like she came in and she had never been to the studio before. I had like farted, so I like walked away from the kitchen over to meet her at the door, and like I just started to go through my, hey, you've never been here before. Let me give you a tour, or let me show you where everything's at. Ask you
Let me
all.
just take you into this huge fart cloud.
And when I turned to walk her towards the props, I walked through a cloud, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
No.
And it was in motion.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you could have done the right thing and say, let me get that for you. Go ahead and lay on your mat. Go ahead and get comfortable. That's funny. So I want to know some secrets. So if and when we have couples that's like watching this, like what are your pro tips in terms of getting over an intense fight, disagreement, argue? Is there like a process?
It was really hard for me in the beginning because William is when it's over, it's over. He wants love, he wants affection, he wants a hug, he wants a kiss, he wants to, cuddle. And in the beginning, it was hard for me to get over my process. I had to go through my process to get to the other side of things. And over the years, I have learned to let it go. It's not that important. Like, it's okay to be over it when it's over. The reaction is valid. How anger, fear, sadness, but the response is up to you. And how you want to show up in your relationship. And when you're with your primary love relationship, love rules the day. And remembering that this is somebody that you love and respect, and you teach someone how to love you by the way you love yourself, and loving yourself enough to forgive, to move forward, to not be stuck, to be present. Those things go a really long way in a relationship.
Nice. And how about you, Coco Pepe? Do you have a suggestion, advice to the folks out there?
Kind of sort of speaking loosely from a human design perspective, just know that everyone processes emotions differently. And the only way really, I think, is it's pretty individual, based on the two unique humans in the relationship, two or more, to understand themselves emotionally and develop that emotional intelligence and figure out how that's going to work. I think for me, like we honestly don't have big fights. Like we have disagreements and like deeply uncomfortable moments sometimes when we disagree on something big or something that's hard to figure out. But for us, it just requires space and alone time, which, as we've told you, is really hard to get. But we have to figure that out. Like yesterday, I wasn't mad at him, but I was mad. I was very angry, and I disappeared on my bike for like 3 hours. may have drank a beer or two while I was out and listened, just raged with some music, and I come back, and then as soon as I'm able to, like, as soon as my sense of humor comes back, it's really great to lean into that. You know, like when I'm super mad or super upset, you can't rush it. I can't just jump straight into that. But as soon as I'm able to laugh or crack a joke, that usually like opens the door to us communicating well again.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
how it works for us.
Beautiful.
Or my
Yeah, you have to, it's been a lot of learning to like read the room, right? And you can't demand what you need or want from your partner when they're not in a position to give it to you. So you have to, yeah, it's a lot of patience and um sleeping it off, so to speak. That's been a lot of, kind of, if we're just in a place that we can't see eye to eye, it's like really the times that it's like, cool, let's sleep in different beds tonight and just have our own space. Thank God we have like at least a somewhat of a wall and another bed that we can, do that in. And that doesn't happen very often, but you have to just give the space and not demand
Mhm.
what you need, whether you're both having a hard time, one is having a hard time and you're not. But like yesterday, like it wasn't anything that involved us together, so it was very easy, for me to read the room and kind of just go with the flow, not demand anything that I may want or need, and then just realize when it was time to, kind of crack back into it and be lighthearted about it. Um, and not demand that your partner get over it before they're ready to, which,
Mhm.
yeah, has been somewhat of a challenge for us sometimes to see eye to eye there. But it just involves you being patient and understanding and not selfish with their process.
Nice. Can you
Yeah, and I
remind
think
us?
one thing,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
like one more thing that I think
Yeah.
would be universally applicable is like you got to talk about things. Like you need to sort it out. You need to talk about it, but it's never good to talk about it in the heat of the moment. Like if
Yeah.
you start yelling or like if you just are really freaking out, that's like let the emotion do whatever your personal process is for letting emotions seep out of you or letting, processing them, and then come back together to talk about it in a rational and grounded way when you can own your own emotions and or when you can own what it is and like understand how to articulate it instead of just being emotionally reactive. That I think that's so important. I think that is universally applicable.
Yeah, I love that you just said that. We were watching TV, and in one of the clips on the show, there was a heated moment between drag queens and conservative Christians, and they were at City Hall, and they're about to have this exchange, and it said to be continued, but the trailer said the guy just started going off, and the main drag queen says, you know, insulting people at the beginning does not is not a good way to start a conversation. I'm just saying, because we just want to come out of people, you know what I mean? It's like you're feeling some kind of way. And I think that's where people get lost because you just kind of escalate, and you forget what you're having issues about. So I think it is very important. But also that takes practice, which leads us to back to like the men's work. It's like a lot of the things I feel is also missing is communication skills between guys or just guys in general. We polish ourselves when it comes to finding a job, when we are expressing our needs and desires, but when it comes to equal opportunity for just listening and having an equal exchange, I think that's we lack as guys. I think, you know, and I think that's something that's really important that we include in the work that we do. And, Aaron's in that space because he's studied therapy for several years. And so I think for you, me, Coco, I think it's good that we add that into our offerings, whatever it is that we're doing for men's work for the weekend, so on and so forth.
Well, it's interesting because the emotions, if you're talking about the koshas, the monomaya koshas, the mind and the emotions, uh, they're there to serve as guide. They're not there to be swept away by, and so being emotionally intelligent really is about developing a curiosity for those spikes and emotions, and turning your attention towards them. You know, there's nothing wrong with anger, fear, sadness, joy, disgust, interest, the kind of the primary emotions. And there's a range of experience within each of those prime emotions. And as we develop an interest in our emotional process, you know, each of those emotions are biologically ingrained inside us in order to give us guidance towards our most balanced self. And so William and I have a very free communication style with each other. Words do not particularly offend us, but the emotions of anger and sadness and fear, the minute those come up, you see us start to edit our choices of words. I don't want to speak to someone that I love the most in this lifetime out of anger, you know, or let my fears dictate the way that I show up in this relationship. And so a lot of times, you know, when we're having a fight, we don't really fight that much. There'll be oh, you've changed your tone. Like there's a signal, like something has changed. There's a moment here that needs to be seen, you know, and it's helped us tremendously, you know, to acknowledge like something has shifted, something has changed. Let's give it some space. Let's give it some time. You know, what does that need? Maybe this is not the right time for us to talk about this subject.
Right.
Mm.
Right. I love that. I don't want to hijack your day. However, I do want to ask one other thing, Coco, Pepe, your Telegram. Is that something that you're inviting people to join? Like, what are you using that platform for? Because I see a lot of people engaged. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a very anarchic and experimental space. It's very countercultural, and I kind of think of it as almost like the coolest locker room ever, where you know that every guy in there is approachable, likes to be complimented, and people are encouraged to experiment and like show up in ways that maybe they never have. It's all about camaraderie, um, fun, playfulness, but also I do encourage people to express difficulties, fears, insecurities if they're looking for encouragement or support, if they're looking for help with it. So it's loosely about yoga because most of the guys in there are guys who practice yoga or guys that I've met through yoga, but we're not just posting and sharing yoga. You know, it's not limited to that. You know, because if you've listened to me talk enough or been to my classes, or if you've been in the space, you know that I kind of think everything is yoga. So we do fun, silly little dares and challenges and themes, and I encourage people to step out of their comfort zones. I encourage the guys to support each other and to treat each other in a friendly, brotherly way.
Nice.
So if that's interesting to you, you know, like I'm mostly wanting people who want to engage and want to participate. It's not Twitter, you know, it's not a place to just scroll and consume. But if you want to engage and participate in something like that, then I would love to have you. So yeah, you're invited.
Nice. Nice. There's a word of caution to people out there. There's a lot of clutch the pearls moment. Like there's a thing I think I watched, what was it? Like you started an ice cube challenge. I'm like, what is this?
Just weird stuff. Yeah, we just do weird stuff for fun. I mean, like I love it too because like if you're gonna have a mundane and boring day and then your yoga teacher pops up and says, "Hey, it's safe and funny and you're invited to try to see how many ice cubes you can put up your ass."
Right.
And just do it if
Yeah.
you want to, you know, like that makes the day fun. Or, you know, like I dare you to try to take a piss with a boner and take a video of it and post it. You know, like if you want to do it. If you don't, then don't. But you know,
Yeah.
if that would make your day more fun,
Yeah. I love it,
do
you know,
it.
because when you go to Instagram, you're like, hey, which top or which should I wear? And you go to your Telegram. I'm like, hey, let's do an ice cube challenge. It's like, you know, you're not in Kansas anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, I find it interesting because it's free. It's like a more well-rounded kind of grinder. You know, it has a fuller range of experience. There's people that are sharing their bodies and sharing their sexual nature, but also there's elements of spirituality, and it's a more complete experience that allows people to connect. It's interesting, you know.
Yeah. Are you going to start a
Yeah.
Telegram? Are you going to start your own Telegram, Aaron?
No,
I was just saying.
sweetie, I don't even want to be on the gram, let alone like I have these things. If I didn't use them for work, I would have no interest in them. I'm old school. I like to pick up my shit at the bar.
Well, I used to definitely be that way too, and I never thought I would do so much social media. But now that I live in complete isolation in the middle of the rainforest, if I want to have camaraderie and brotherhood or meet new people, it's got to be virtual for now.
Oh,
But
totally.
It's a lot of people, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So
Not
Yeah,
everybody
caveat,
spends their day with hundreds of people that they don't know. Like I spend every day with teaching yoga classes, and I'm surrounded by people. I'm expected to be magical in my downtime. I just want to play Marvel Strike Force on my phone, and
and
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I don't want to make
Wow.
videos about me talking and watch me say anything else for the day.
Well, very cool. Well, boys, anything else that you want to add? Anything that you want to announce? Anything that you want people to look out for before we sign off?
watch out
Pepe,
for
were you
those
gonna say
pearls.
something? Yeah, I
Huh?
think someone. I think I heard the word caveat.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I was just to further describe the Telegram group, I was just saying, like, caveat, it's not the coolest locker room in the world, it's the coolest virtual locker room in the world because it doesn't
Yeah.
quite fulfill the physical excitement that we've all experienced in locker rooms, but we're trying to recreate that vibe. And yeah, it's a cool group because it catalyzes some important conversations and like ways for us to learn how to relate to one another and not be so like overly sensitive and like learn how to just communicate as men, and like maybe we offend each other sometimes and we talk it out and learn how to maybe do better or how to understand things better. Like, we used to call it like that, we love to call it like things safe spaces, and we realized like this is not actually a safe space. We're going to stop calling it a safe space. It's not safe. Like, we're not going to tolerate abuse or like inappropriate, you know
Mhm.
abuse of someone, but you might get triggered. Something might trigger your shit, whether that's an ice cube going up someone's ass or boner pissing. You might get triggered, and we as a community or a brotherhood get to kind of deal with that together. And sometimes you have to tell people to fuck off because they're being inappropriate, or they're abusing their position or whatever. It is anarchic. So we've kind of replaced safe space with free space.
I
um
love that. Yeah,
and yeah,
I
yeah.
love it
It
when
is.
you two start to
come if you dare.
discipline. I love it when you two start to discipline people and start to tell them, no, 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 you're gonna stop that.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just
It's
reading Pepe's post to William the other day. I'm like, oh, Pepe's pissed.
Yeah, it's safe as in like your pictures and videos and what you say is secure. Screenshots and saving and sharing isn't allowed. And it's safe as in you got two very mindful, conscious bouncers at the door who are not gonna allow bullying to happen or inappropriate behavior to happen. But like the thing that actually pissed me off and like the reason I had to go on like a huge bike ride, part of it was somebody who never says anything popped up and decided to make a complaint that there wasn't more sharing about yoga happening. And I was like, bitch, no, please, like, you don't come out of nowhere and then make a complaint. This is a free space. And so if there isn't more yoga being shared, nobody's preventing that. Like you guys share about yoga if you want, or, like you specifically, the one complaining, like, since when did you ever share a picture or video or thought about yoga? So like, if you want to see more of that, then share it.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm not, as a yoga teacher and as a leader and as a guide, I'm not mean by default, and I'm also not just across the board sweet. Like, I'm real, and I'm also not like a baby. I don't baby people, I'm not. That's not what I want. I want people who are like excited to grow and learn and like dig into the human experience. And so yeah, it's not for everybody, but
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
but there
I love.
is.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful platform, or at least you're using the platform in a very awesome way because it's like encouraging people just loosen the fuck up and maybe you learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Hey,
Can I just say, bringing Pepe on board, I just got so many sound bites. Like first it was the fart, and out of nowhere shoving ice in your butt. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like I think
you're
that needs to
welcome.
be that needs to be its separate video right there. Like all Pepe's quotes.
You're welcome.
It's
See you next
amazing.
time.
It's great. It's fantastic. All right, boys. Well, thank you so much for making time for us. Everybody tune in. We have another special guest coming next week. Uh, our partners in crime, Pepe, Aaron, thank you so much for being there throughout, the dark days and the lighter days and helping us, well, helping each other continue to grow. And I can't wait to use our new travel agent for the upcoming retreats that we're going to be booking. So we're going to make sure that we add you to our website too, Pepe. Yeah, it
I'm
doesn't make,
available
right. It doesn't make sense for people to say, here's a retreat without who to call to book them. So,
for sure.
all right,
Thank you.
great. All right.
Good to hang
Thank
out with you,
you.
Gabriel and Aaron. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you. Take care.
Later, brogies.